a break now. Yeah, it's like that's not me. I just try to have a good time with the game. So
I'm happy Wooks streams with a face cam. That seems very essential.
yes. Oh,
And
for sure.
yeah, I mean, face cams are such a game changer. As much as I wish they weren't in a way. They're such a game changer because it's like when I pop into a stream, as soon as there's not a face cam, subconsciously, it's just like it's like a matter of under a minute before I'm kind of out. I'm just not interested potentially
Really?
unless it's somebody I've known for a long time. Again, this is me sort of like discovering new streams. That's more it.
Okay.
It's me.
That's understandable.
It's
Yeah.
me like coming into a stream that I'm kind of unfamiliar with. If it's non-face cam, it's so hard for me to just be like, okay, I'm going to invest
Can't
in the
connect.
stream. Yeah, it's like I could probably connect, but I really I'm at a loss for like who like there's like
It's a lot easier to make that connection with a face cam. Totally, I agree.
But again, there's people that can pull it off. I mean, and then again, there's like the household names like Hey Jace, SparkMac. It's just like people. There's just like okay, I can just vibe to this. I know who these guys are. I can just chill here. It's fine. And some people can really make it work, but you got to go on like that long game of like, okay, you have something truly that you're offering. I just feel like, and again, I have streamed without a face cam, and I'm in my head the entire time. Like it's chill,
Really?
but it's almost like a backwards chill where I feel like I'm doing my stream a detriment. Like it's like
Wow.
I am like regressing my stream's progress in a way. And again, this is all in my head potentially, but the viewer count's lower instantaneously because there's not a face cam. Just happens. And then on top of that, it feels like, I'll get the questions like, oh, why don't you have a face cam on? And then like the whole stream vibe is about me answering the question, why my face cam's not on? And then there's also
mark face cam.
Yeah, and then there you got to like basically apologize in your stream title like no cam, sorry, ha ha ha, like I'll be back tomorrow. Just like a lot of like apologies need to be made, and then embracing that is concerning as well because people are like, oh, I miss your face cam, man. Like when are you gonna bring it back? Like oh man, and it's just like this thing that's it's so comfy streaming without a face cam, and I could stream so many more hours. Because it's just like I don't have a light blaring in my face, and I can just relax and lean back.
Yeah, because I'm a person who has light sensitivity issues because I scratched my cornea while I was in uni.
Oh, no.
So like, I had to like actually recover for like a week basically while going to classes, and I looked like a pirate. So it was cool, but I mean not cool, but it is what it is. But like now my right eye is a lot more sensitive to light, and like when you're pulling like a like 20-hour leagues day on release, like you feel like a literal husk of a human being. So I still pushed through and was able to do it, but I really do give credit to people who are live with face cam like for long hours all day, and especially being entertaining and like engaging on top of it. Like it's one thing to have a face cam on and just like be like the Moyai like Easter Island head just staring at the game doing nothing. So there are people who do that as well. It's just like their personality, but it's like being engaging while like having face cam on is just like another beast. Like doing it long term, like all the time. And I definitely resonate with like how you feel about it, because like sometimes it does feel like that, where like you'll be in your head. But I was more surprised by like your reaction to it, where you felt like you were regressing. But like I totally get it if everybody's like, dude, where's your face cam at? And you're on your like 7th reply, like, haha, guys.
No, I mean,
you know what? Do the tasty every time he doesn't have face cam on. He's like, dude, my camera broke. I feel like that's just the easy out. I feel like his camera's actually not broken. I feel like he just doesn't want to have face cam on when he does that. It's so funny. Every time I see it, I'm like, there's no way his camera's broke, because it's like a day later, and he's like, oh, my camera part came in. Let's go, dude.
Well, the other thing I've noticed, and again, this is just me being fully transparent as a streamer. It's like, if I have a face cam on, there's a higher likelihood I get new subbers, I get people dropping subs, I get people cheering. People want to see a reaction when they donate. And
oh, for sure.
So there's that element where, like, I mean, and again, it's not like I have data to support this really, besides just the occasional stream I don't have a face cam on, but most streams I don't have a face cam on, it's like, you know, once in a blue moon, and so people come there and it's like, oh well, if a person's there and they are feeling like, oh, I want to, you know, donate $10 to this streamer, oh, their face cam's not on. Well, I'll just wait until tomorrow when, you know, I could see a genuine reaction that would just make my donation feel better, you know, in a way. And that's the same way I would do it. Like if I'm donating to a streamer, I would much prefer donating to somebody where I can see a reaction. And, you know, as I don't know if that sounds cringe or whatnot, or if that just sounds like kind of shallow, but it's just the way.
It's part of the human experience. Like if you are like interacting with somebody, like obviously you want to see their reaction. If you have a veil in front of somebody and you hand them money in real life and then you don't see their reaction, you're kind of like left without, you know, you don't have like a sense of understanding like how, if they actually appreciate it, if like, you know what I mean? So like I totally understand like that perspective. I get it.
It's like,
and like you don't want to cheat people out of like your reaction to it because they're giving you money to support you. So like I can understand it from that perspective.
So there's that element as well.
The phrasing confused me at first, yeah.
Yeah. No, there's
I
just
get that.
there's just a bunch of things. I mean, it's the same thing with like DoorDash. It's so much more fun. Like when I get a DoorDash, the thing is with DoorDash, when I DoorDash, is my apartment building's locked, so I actually have to go walk outside and meet my driver.
Oh, cool.
Which is not great. It's actually been a blessing in disguise because it makes me not want to order DoorDash, which has saved me a lot of money. Because it's just like it's
DoorDash
one of those
an
things.
Extra step.
Yeah, no, because like when I want to order DoorDash, I'm like peak depression. You know, it's just like I want to order this because I'm depressed, but there's also the counter of like, oh fuck, I gotta go like actually go outside and talk to somebody and just, them have to hand me the food.
That's the worst.
And so I'm like, I'm not gonna order it, and so I'll just fucking make some depression meal inside instead. So I save a lot of money with this, but one of the cool things is, you know, handing the driver an actual like, you know, $10 bill, like here, like I got some. It's like it's such a pleasant experience tipping in person rather than, oh, here's a pre-tip that a person I'll never see. It's like it's a nice feeling, like, you know, just I don't know.
A little sugar on top, you know?
Yeah. And they're always, because you'll always have to do the pre-tip anyway, because nobody's gonna take your order if you don't pre-tip. So, you know, you always just chuck like, I don't know, $4 or something, and then, you know, if you're feeling generous, because sometimes I'll just have some spare cash, and who the fuck uses cash nowadays? So it's like, I'll just give you this here. I'm not gonna use it.
Practically nobody, unless you're going to the bodega around the corner where that's only cash, you know?
Yeah. So
I love tax evasion.
Let's switch gears a little bit. I want to hear about your new podcast that you started with Meowson, LEX, and the Coconut Bean Dip.
Yeah, so I got inspired by like the Based Boys, and like because I had a podcast, and I know like you obviously have a place to speak, and I just felt like I wanted to do something like for myself, I guess. Like I just wanted to start something like self-generated and like motivating, and I've always had like this moment where I go like in and out of making YouTube videos, and I feel like it just helps keep me consistent on top of just talking about stuff, because I feel like I don't know, I feel like I'm like tapped into a lot of like different things, like including like stuff that's going on Twitter and just like music and, you know, like streamers and like streaming in general, and occasionally sprinkling in like RuneScape content. And the fact that like everybody I met through like the RuneScape like section is also on the podcast with me and is great friends with me is like another bonus. So, you know, I have like great regard for Coconut Bean Dip, Meowson, and LEX. Like they're very great friends of mine. So I felt like this is like a very cohesive group of people who we could just kind of just bullshit about stuff and could talk for like an hour and a half every 2 weeks, which we have it bi-weekly. So if you guys want to check it out, it's the Terminally Online podcast. Might be a little bit funky or weird to find on YouTube because there's apparently another podcast that has the same name, but it's like not the same it's just it's search engine optimization. We're working on it, but we'll probably have it linked in the description.
In the description, gentlemen. Go check it out. Click it.
Okay. Also, check out my YouTube, please. I'm making RuneScape videos.
Yes. And they're bangers. They're actual bangers. I'm not gonna lie. Your YouTube content's actually been fire lately. I'm impressed.
Thanks, man. I've been motivated. I've been having fun. Like, Leagues is fun, but Leagues is coming to an end. And I have a really fun, like, banger video I want to make, but I'm building this account right now, which is this account that I'm basically AFKing everything on. But
Mm.
yeah, it's gonna have a really big payoff, and it's gonna not be just like a progress video. It's gonna be like everything leading up to like the end of the video, so it's actually like start to finish, not like, you know, another edging series video that you like don't want to feel obligated to watch. But yeah, so we started the podcast, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. We're about like 7 episodes in, and I graciously asked Sater if he'd like to come on the next one. So that's a little sneak peek if you guys are watching. But yeah, that'll be fun. You'll be the first guest we ever had on because we just started it. We were just trying to have fun with it, and I think like now that we're kind of more established into doing it for a while, and we're like consistent with the uploads, I think I'm definitely going to start asking more people on who would like to be on, and then obviously like we can just have us four whenever.
So
but yeah, we shoot it like every 2 weeks is generally when we upload.
And it is a face cam podcast as well. So how is that going to
Yes.
work with a guest? Are you going to just squeeze in another spot? Or you just kind of shrink everybody's camera down?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of do that on the base one. Like,
Yeah.
I think one time they had like 7 people on or whatever. So it's like,
They squeeze it in.
we generally put in like the normal aspect ratio of like a camera, but that's really no issue. I mean, I'm the one doing all the editing, so I'll make it fit. I'll make sure everybody's visible.
Is there some sort of theme to your podcast? I'm saying this as somebody pretending like I'm somebody that hasn't listened to your podcast.
The theme is generally just like 4 guys who met on RuneScape and became friends, and like just kind of talking about whether like things that are happening like in the streaming space, whether it's RuneScape, you know, like the Kai Cenat subathon. We talked about that on one of the podcasts, actually a few of them, because it was all month. But there's just a lot of stuff we talk about. Like, we'll talk about, like, you know, stories of us growing up, like things that relate back to us, like playing RuneScape, like how we met each other, friends we've met, people in the community, some risque stuff, generally just like funny, like goofy kind of banter. So like if you guys resonate with that, you might like it. So
Nice.
yeah, just like a really like easy common ground to just like spew ideas out and have fun. And like if people resonate with it, then that's awesome, because like I'm making this just for fun, and if people enjoy spending time watching it, then that's just a plus. Like I expect nobody to watch anything I make, and if people show up and are like resonating with it, that's awesome. So
yeah, that is the best mindset. That's really healthy. Just like, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and it just I don't have any expectations of even one person watching. Like, watch it if you want.
Yeah,
I think it's a banger podcast. It reminds me of the old days of Based After Dark, where it was just like fucking just people that I recognize, and the only person on the podcast I haven't met in person is Coconut Bean Dip, but you know, I've met the other two, Mason. And,
it's a bit of an enigma, that guy.
Yeah. But he's refreshing to have with. I think him and Mason's contrast is really nice, because it's like Mason's a lot more laid back, and he'll call out, you know. I mean, even you'll call out, you know, everyone will call out Coconut Bean Dip's weird things, but there's this nice, like, I think you guys got this really cool sort of chemistry going on. And I think, I'll be honest, I want to give a shout out to Mason. I think he keeps things a little bit more grounded. It's nice. And you as well. I mean, you're there, and you're a voice of sanity. You have fun, but you know, you got Ellie Zax, who is, you know, he almost like puts on a different like persona in a way. Like he really goes like rambunctious mode, which is great. And then you got Coconut Bean Dip that's like actually just like full schizo posting vocally.
Yeah.
So
love that guy.
It's great.
Yeah, I love all the dudes we do the podcast with. They're really great friends that I got to like get really close with, that like I wasn't as close with like a year ago, and I met a bunch of them at TwitchCon, Vegas TwitchCon. And yeah, it was just kind of a spur of the moment thing. I was thinking about doing something like that, and like I was kind of just finding the right guests who wanted to do it, so I kind of just spearheaded it. And it's been just a great time. And thank you for the kind words. I guess I didn't realize like how off the rails it does get, and it's nice to have somebody like Mason to like center it. And if it was just me, Bean Dip, and Alex, it would literally just be like insanity the whole time.
Yeah.
Probably. So also, like, you know, I think 4 is like the perfect amount of people on a podcast as well.
It's sort of like, again, this is no relation whatsoever, nor are there that many real connections to it, but it reminds me of King of the Hill in a way. You just got like 4 dudes that are
Really?
just sitting
Who would be
outside
who?
drinking beer, just fucking talking.
Don't call me
shit.
the fat bald guy. Don't call me the fat bald guy. No, I'm just kidding. It probably would be him.
Meowson would definitely be Hank, I think.
Yeah,
But,
I can see that. He's the voice of reason.
Yeah. Actually, I would say I don't know. Actually, maybe he's Boomhauer. Actually, you're probably Hank. I don't know. Again,
I feel
no
like
real
Beanip
relation.
would be Boomhauer.
Yeah, that's
Maybe.
true. That's true. No. He would be.
He'd literally just
he would be
get there
Bill.
talking.
Oh, wait, no. Bill's the fat guy. Who's the guy with the you can't see his eyeballs? Always smoking. I can't remember his name.
Isn't that Boomhauer? Oh,
Boomhauer.
yeah.
Wait. Who's the guy that's like? I thought that was
Yeah,
Boomhauer.
Boomhauer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Boomhauer.
Who's the other guy?
You're talking about the guy with the hat on, with the glasses that
yeah.
they're
What's his
smoking?
name?
Is that Dale? Is his name
Yeah,
Dale?
it's Dale. There it is. Yeah, Hank,
Okay,
Dale, Boomhauer, and Bill. Right? Bill's the.
Yeah.
There we go. I haven't, dude. King of the Hill. I remember as a kid, my dad loved The Simpsons. So even though I grew up pretty strict Mormon, where we weren't allowed to watch certain things like South Park and even Family Guy for that matter, I think Family Guy was a little bit more like we probably could, but maybe not. My
Family
dad
Guy was the original brain rot.
Yeah. My dad loved The Simpsons, so we'd watch that, and then there would be King of the Hill on later, but it was a little bit more mature, I feel like. So as kids, I'm talking like when I was like 7, 8, 9, King of the Hill I didn't understand what was going on. It just seemed overly mature. Like I was just like, this is for adults.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand. And then as an adult, I'm like, King of the Hill's great. Like this is so
awesome.
fucking relatable. It's like everything's relatable. Everything's just actually just so dry and raw. It's great.
Yeah. No, it's definitely more enjoyable to watch as I'm older. There's a lot of shows like that, I feel like.
It makes you think. I don't actually know the figures on this, but shows that are continuously just reran, make millions and millions of dollars. Just the what's the term when like
Syndication.
Yeah, syndication of shows. It's like, bro, you make a banger show, and like that shit will be, if it's quality. This is this is timeless. This is now a timeless classic that you'll just be able to live off of. Basically, it's cool.
There's some crazy stuff I learned because, like, the Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide TV show. I don't know if you ever saw that when you were a kid.
I never watched it.
So the 3 cast members, like the Ned Bigsby Mose, who is the actress, like the main lead actress, and then Cookie, who is like the nerdy kid on the show, they all have a podcast now. So they like, I don't know, they come together like every week or whatever and talk about stuff. But they talk about how because they worked at Nickelodeon, they don't get syndication, so they don't make any money because they had, I think it was a writing strike that they had back in the day when they were kids. And they basically were like coaxed into like signing this paper to like make a certain amount of money. And the studios basically hoed them, and they just don't make any money now from any episodes that are re-aired.
Depressing.
And I think a lot of people on Nickelodeon shows had that. Like I don't think Drake or Josh make any money from syndication. I think it's like only the Disney kids really were the people who made money or are still making money, I think. But also people have their own unique contracts because so yeah, some of the studios are really just like fucking over a lot of the young children. And like obviously like, 50K comes in every week and you're like, oh, this is great. But like, syndication later, like you could have made like $20,000 a week.
Yep. 20
years after your show came out. Like that could have literally lived off that forever.
I know.
It just sucks to hear when people get taken advantage of when they're young.
Yeah, that's gotta be.
And it's like they're
so
like the
depressing.
model. They're the model. Like that's like they're the first coming of like shows, Like you didn't really see Nickelodeon shows before that were like syndicated on that level because you had like Keenan and Kel and like other like 90s shows, like all that. And like that's like 12 kid actors that are splitting money, and like the beginning, like the intonation of like a network, so they're getting paid shit compared to like somebody like 15 years later and still getting taken advantage of. It's just crazy.
Here's what I wonder. I wonder how relevant podcasts, because it seems like we're in this era where podcasting's only successful. Like the only success you're getting from podcasts is your most recent stuff. Nobody's really going back to a bunch of old stuff to, piece I mean, nobody's going back to episode 90 of Joe Rogan. Like, are people doing that? I don't know. I feel
You'd
like
be surprised.
really?
I mean,
Okay, well, I guess with Joe Rogan, he's
yeah,
Joe Rogan. But
he's like the podcaster in terms of like all podcasts.
That's probably a bad example, but like I'm just thinking of like some average podcast you see on YouTube. Like, it feels like most of the time people are not going back into old news unless it's
the only time they would do that. The only time they would do that is if it's a specific guest that they've only had on like once or twice. So it's like, you know, like if it's like a guy on Joe Rogan being like, let me tell you about UFOs or something. It's like, yeah, I want to learn more about that. So then you just type in Joe Rogan UFO, and then it's always going to be that person. So they're going to chain watch all of that thing that they're interested in. So it's like, I think a lot of podcasts is about like keywords and like understanding your audience and also like gaining intrigue, which is like the thing I've been trying to start learning, just like being in the space now because we're 7 deep. And like obviously we have like people from the RuneScape community who are gracious enough to watch us and like support us and just like tune in because like I'm truly expecting like nobody to listen to us talk. So the fact that anybody shows up is awesome, and I'm kind of just like trying to understand how the YouTube algorithm even works, especially for my RuneScape channel, because I'm trying to gain like intrigue into like new videos I'm making. And like a big thing with being a creator who's like starting out on both channels is you don't want to like have this great idea and then like get eaten by the algorithm just because like you're starting, you know? It's like a thing of like, if you have like a great idea and you execute it, and then like, let's say like you put like a horrible title and horrible thumbnail on, then your video is just going to do bad because you just get eaten by the algorithm. So it's a lot of like doing research on things that you're interested in, but like not losing sight of, you know, being integrated into like what you're doing and your community and just like your surroundings.
How important do you think like clips are? The reason I ask is because I've done such a horrible job with. Occasionally, I'll have like a moment where I'll publish a couple clips for my podcast, and they always they always are good. Like it's a good thing for me to do, and yet I'm not consistent with it. I mean, it would be a lot easier, obviously, with another guy doing it, just hiring somebody to do that. But
yeah,
the other thing is, one of the things it's a regret, and the regret keeps getting pushed further and further down the line because I've tried a couple times to post a clip of a podcast from 2 years ago, and people are like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like this is irrelevant." You know, I'll get the commenters like, "What? This is irrelevant news," or just some irrelevant point. But even though I want to kind of like, bring up old podcast clips just in case somebody missed that podcast and they hear a clip that's like, oh, this was a banger. I want to go listen to this. And I feel like the Sae Bae cast, at least in some sense, is sort of timeless. There are obviously, there's a huge caveat to say, which is like we're talking about the game in a different era, but like still, I feel like there could be interest and stuff like that. But
do you guys definitely is.
Do you guys plan on doing like posting clips of your podcast? Is that something that you
for sure
thought about?
For the first like month of making the basically what I do is, since I'm doing like all of the editing, all the uploading, all of like the thumbnail titling stuff, like I'm generally just like the editing guy. And like every time I do go through a podcast when I edit it, I basically get 3+ clips that I do want to like push out, but I just haven't edited them yet. And we're kind of in the beginning stages of the podcast where we don't have like full role delegations to things that we're doing, because like it very much is like a laissez-faire, like guys show up, be funny, like just show up, please, just show up and hang out type of thing. And like that's like a thing that we'll like learn as we come to go along, because like the base guys have their own roles. Like I'm pretty sure T Papa and like Prison Joe and Tits are like the guys who like do a lot of the like information gathering, like topics to talk about, which like you don't even necessarily need. It just helps give you a direction. And I think it's just good.
No, I was just gonna say they do have Saint Tits that just runs the whole thing. I mean, he's there week in, week out. He's the one making sure the audio's good. He collects all the recordings. They make sure their audio sounds great, and then he's making clips. He's publishing everything like that. That sounds like a.
He's
nice
like the sole
workflow.
editor, like content direction guy who's making things happen for like the base channel, and that's like huge. Like getting a guy like that is huge, and obviously, I would love to push more clips, but like making clips, more, I guess I was trying to make them more like accessible to people outside of like the community. So like I was doing a lot of editing, and it became a little bit debilitating on my end because I do want to do like my main thing is I want to be pushing out YouTube videos on my main channel. And I think taking on too many like hats on editing wise just eats up a lot of my time. Like lately I just haven't even been streaming as much just because I've been trying to make more videos and been trying to push content out, because I think in general, I think if you do want to start growing, for any people who are listening and maybe want to be a content creator, I would highly recommend starting with YouTube first and trying to find like a place, like a niche where you feel like you fill, or you just feel like you can like contribute. Because like going on Twitch and streaming like just off rip is very, very difficult unless you already have like a community of friends, or like a place where you like are welcome and people like want to watch you. Because starting out is just very brutal, and I was very lucky starting out that I got like put on by Zoe Pancakes and Prison Joe, and they sent me a lot of raids early on, and I had a lot of friends inside of like Homies Clan and like a lot of other people who would watch and support me. So it's like that definitely helped me on my journey of like starting streaming, and I definitely have like a comfortable amount of people who watch me. But I like am at the point where if I'm trying to like have all these hats on and like, you know, make clips, do this for the podcast, make my own videos as well, like try and push like my content out, it becomes a little bit taxing just mentally. And there are times where it's like, okay, well now you gotta have a day off, so that's a day set back. So it's like it's a little bit difficult to keep up with. And it people say like there's that conversation that a lot of like big streamers have about like, is streaming harder than like a 9 to 5 job? And like in reality, like just streaming, no. But like there's like the added stresses of other things that come on, like being mentally exhausted and, you know, staying up longer than you would at like a 9 to 5. Like sometimes you got to spend 10, 12, 14 hours being up, and then you lose sleep, and then you feel worse the next day, but you still got to go back in. And it's like, it does actually become a grind.
Yeah, it's definitely a grind.
But it's rewarding in the same way. And I get gratification from doing it, and it's very enjoyable. And obviously, like, you like want things to do great that you're putting effort into, but also like you have to have a level of expectation of like where you're at. Yeah. And like it's good to like, you have to be grounded, I feel like. And I feel like that's always difficult doing content creation. So it's like always good to be grounded if you can be, and just not get like too lost in the sauce of trying to make stuff. Yeah. So it's very important to like give yourself breaks, and you know, sometimes like people step away from content creation. Like a bunch of people who like put me on and like were like, you know, in the base community and stuff, like they stopped streaming, like Ignoble Solid, like Zoe Pancakes, Lopsy. There's like a lot of people who like did stop streaming. And like it's just crazy because the COVID boom happened, and then like a lot of people from that boom just aren't around anymore. So it's like a new wave of new people coming in too, which is always new and exciting and fun, but it's also just crazy to think about.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
It's content creation is something else. I mean, it really, like you were saying,
fast.
You were saying, I mean, it's definitely so rewarding because, I mean, you're your own boss. You're the one growing your brand. You're not building somebody else's brand. Ultimately, it's just like it's so much more fulfilling. But there is that element, especially live streaming, where it's like, this is not just clock in, clock out, and it's just, oh, play your video game for 8 hours. It's like, okay, how are you gonna grow your channel today? Like, how are you gonna be entertaining? How are you gonna like keep, you know, it's an entertainment thing. It's like it's exhausting to be entertaining for long term. But you're right about as well the like constant influx of like new streamers and the streamers that leave, because so much of content creation, so much of live streaming, I feel like is really just continuing doing it. Like you have to keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, and that's what grows a channel ultimately, is like just got to keep going live, and like I don't know, it's kind of brutal because there are times with streaming where it's like you'll see a decline in growth, or you'll see like a not even a decline in growth, but like negative growth. It's just like you're not growing, and it's just like it can be really disheartening. It's like, oh damn, and then you're like in the whole like imposter syndrome phase. Like, oh, I don't, like, I've
I've
never
been
even
there.
deserved to, be a streamer in the first place, or it's like, this is just not working.
Yeah.
And
I've definitely had that like imposter syndrome, like negative growth cycle, and it kind of puts into perspective like if you do take streaming like very serious, because I treated it basically like my full-time job, even though I was like a part-time streamer technically. But I was putting in like, I think it was last year, yeah, I put in like a shitload of hours. Like, granted, I wasn't going live like every day because that's a little bit psychotic to be live like for literally like 300 days, but also at the same token, it's like being consistent is the most important thing you can be, on top of like trying to be entertaining or like adding some value to people's day. Because my whole goal with it was I just wanted to basically, if I can make somebody's day by like being stupid or like just making somebody laugh, like that was like life changing to me. Because at that point in time, it was like a make it or break it thing. Like, because I had put off streaming for like 6 years that I wanted to do it just because of like nerves or anxiety or whatever. Because I just, if you just never click go live, then you're never gonna do it. And that's why I always tell people who have always thought about it, like, just do it, because you're never gonna find out if you like it if you don't do it.
yeah, now it's,
It's very difficult to like navigate that when you're starting out. And then on top of that, like I said before, like trying to grow something from the beginning, I feel like your mindset shouldn't even be growth. It's about just having a good time, and that's what I treated it as when I started. And then like that like negative growth cycle hit after I think Vegas TwitchCon, because I just kind of became a little bit inconsistent. And I kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do. I always wanted to make YouTube videos at that point, but I had no idea like what I wanted to actually make of like substance. Like I had nothing to call to myself other than being the guy who had like a hardcore that became an iron, that became a unranked group fireman, that became a main, and then I played a main basically. But like, nobody knew about that because I was just like in my bubble of like streaming. And then like, new people come and go, and then they have the like new streamer like bubble growth where like it's like, oh, this person's live all the time, but I can watch this new person, or like, whatever it might be, that people start to watch you less. Or it's just more about like still being consistent, even though people are like kind of leaving from your community, but just like you just have to be grounded and understand that like people will move on whether they tell you or not.
Yep.
And there was just a moment of like self-doubt for a while where I just was like, do I really want to be streaming? Because I'm like, I don't like to think about the numbers. I never have like the amount of people watching me when I go live. I always have it hidden. I just is gonna like, for me personally, I don't like looking at metrics at all, or just talking about metrics when I'm streaming. It's just a very negative connotation being brought with it if like you're not improving. So it's just gonna make you feel bad.
Yep.
Especially when you're trying to be entertaining. You don't want to have anything affect you like having a good time, and that's just like a deterrent. So it's a lot of navigating and social awareness and like politics with streaming as well that becomes difficult. So it's interesting because some people just live so much in their bubble and don't even think about it, and then other people like are too aware of it to the point where it's debilitating.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was kind of a ramble there.
No, I'm completely with you. I mean, I wouldn't have stuck around with streaming had it not been for like the perfect circumstance I was in. I mean, I was averaging, I kid you not, I think when I check my analytics, the first 3 months of full-time streaming, I'm talking 40 hours a week I was streaming, I was averaging like 3.5 viewers.
Damn.
Yeah, it's fucking brutal.
You were grinding, bro.
Yeah.
I respect that.
And
hell yeah.
Well, it's because I put myself in a situation where I was like, I was gonna go. I was gonna go back to school. So I was living in Oregon. I was gonna go back to school out of state, and that was kind of the plan. But I had no fucking idea what I wanted to do in school, and I was kind of like depressed, and I was like also kind of like at that point I was just about to leave the Mormon church. Like I was still like actually technically like an active member, but it was just like miserable. I didn't know I didn't even know if it was like true anymore. So I was like, and because my whole life course was like, go to college, get married to a Mormon, and then make your Mormon family, and just go to church. Like that was always just drilled into me. And then I was like, this is just not doing it for me. And then I it's like my frontal lobe was finally like in that like real end progress thing where it's like you're really starting to realize who you are and trying to figure out what your real identity is. But yeah, besides that, I would like told my parents, like I was like, because my brother had just graduated from school and he was living out in Baltimore, and I was telling my parents,
Okay.
I was like, I think I'm gonna like not go to school this next semester and just try to stream RuneScape with my brother. Like I'm have some money saved up. I'm just gonna fly out there and just see how this goes. And they were just like, "What? Like, what are you doing?"
They're
And I was like,
huh?
so I was
Yeah.
like trying to sell it to them, like this is a possibility. Like they didn't even know what live streaming was hardly. I was like trying to show them some live streams. Like, look, these people do this for a living. Like this is something I
Dude,
can
my
do.
parents still don't understand that. Even I try to explain it to them so many times. It's so hard to explain content creation or just streaming in general to parents or just older people.
It's very foreign to them. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
it was a foreign concept to me, honestly. I was just like, how are people like people pay for this? Like, you know, this is back when I
Yeah.
was still
People
kind of
pay you money to play video games?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Sometimes.
Yeah. Some of the people they do. Yeah. So yeah, I went out, but like it was basically do or die because I was like, I knew this isn't really based in reality, but this is something I kind of internalized was you have one shot at content creation. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
you got your one shot in life, go for it, go as hard as you can on it, and if you make it, you make it. If you don't, you'll just move on to do something else, whatever. And
100%.
so I was like, hey, this is my one shot. Like, let's go for it. So I was really consistent. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have any mentor saying, hey, you shouldn't be doing this way. You should make YouTube first or something. It was just purely like, I want to be a Twitch streamer. Let's just stream with zero. The thing is, I was so ashamed as well, so I wouldn't even tell my friends I was doing it. Like I wanted to like basically isolate myself. Like it would have been the most embarrassing thing ever to have somebody that I knew watch my 2-viewer RuneScape stream. Like Jesus Christ, that would have been horrible. So
Yeah.
I didn't have any like friends really pulling up. Like I was in a clan at the time, so I would like do the little like plug of like, hey, I'm live, and like 2 people would pop in, say hi, and then leave. And I was like, this is so bad. But 3 months in, I mean, it was just like, this is not looking good. Like, this is not.
Oh, really?
I mean, it was a month in, and I was like, this is not looking good. But like, I kept grinding because I was like, I don't want to go back to school.
Respect for that, dude.
Yeah,
That's
no,
sick.
I could not. It would be so hard to do that again. Like, it was.
It's really just a test of your mental.
It really
also
was. It was.
Yeah, because the hardest thing about streaming to no chat is figuring out a way how to be like entertaining, because you have nobody to really bounce anything off of. So it's like, I remember there's very vividly the story of T Papa, how he literally just read everything off of It's Will's chat. It's like his when he was started streaming, like nobody was watching, so he was just like, yeah, man, I don't know about this whole, like, you know, just like going into some like bit or whatever that like nobody was talking about, and then that's gonna generate conversation. Because the worst thing you could do as a streamer who has little view count or just no people actively chatting is being completely stone silent and just saying nothing or explaining. Like, people want to like watch you either for entertainment or they just want to like see what you're all about. So if you're not like contributing anything, then it's difficult for people to understand like what's going on, you know? So it's like people who like openly narrate stuff with like 0 viewers are going to naturally get more just through like consistency,
It's
right?
so
Than like somebody who doesn't.
Especially
And
when
it
you're like,
it is the hardest thing. It is the hardest.
Self-conscious. You're like, oh my god, like this is so embarrassing. But
yes,
you just gotta do it. You just gotta talk. You just gotta open up. And
you have to truck through it. It's very vital to the success of any live stream, is just being openly communicative, but also like, I don't know, you got to kind of have some flair. You have to have some interest to like gain people to like come around, you know? So if you have like a bit or like something interactive in your stream, for me for a while it was like sound alerts. Like they're very taxing. Also, you might also not want to be the guy who just has sound alerts going off every second, because it attracts people who want to like, you know, mess you up in game. Let's say you're in Inferno and you get, you know, like a million bomb explosion sounds.
Careful, SpongeBob. Careful.
Yeah. You get the Kirby. Shout out Kirby.
Yeah,
He always gets the SpongeBob ones when he's actually trying to focus out. He's just getting mad because people are spamming it.
Press the button. No.
Yeah, it's a good bit for sure, but it had its toll on me because I had a specific system built by DJ Cumboy. Shout out DJ Cumboy. It's one of my good friends, and he made it so like there's a certain thing with sound alerts how they stack, and like you need it, basically it's like a queue system. If you ever use like a song redemption or like a song queue, like it'll always have a queue of like sound alerts. But the way he set it up was like specifically on my system through a ran program, so you could have all of the sounds stack at once, and it just made it absolutely unbearable to listen to for anybody who's actually just watching the stream. But for like somebody to interactively deter like the streamer from like messing up the content, like let's say you have to flick an Inferno or whatever, and if you miss a mage flick you die. So people would do that to me, and that was kind of my thing. It was just having like the annoying like loud stream type of mentality. And you know, it's just interesting. You got to kind of try and find like something that will bring people in and people will resonate with.
Did you ever